The world rewards those who know more than they reveal, and punishes those who speak too soon. In this video, I will reveal the perilous secret that, once understood, must never escape your lips. Fail to guard it, and your enemies will use your own words to dismantle your power. Silence is not weakness, it is strategy. In every court, every city, every human gathering, those who speak freely betray themselves. Knowledge, once spoken, loses its value and invites subtle assaults from those who sense your insight, but do not share your restraint. Today, we explore the hidden calculus of secrecy, the art of holding dangerous truths close to your chest, and the power that blooms when others remain in the dark. You possess a truth so potent it could elevate you, or destroy you. But here lies the paradox: knowledge is a double-edged sword. Held close, it is a weapon; exposed carelessly, it becomes a noose. Do you understand the gravity of this? Every word you speak carries weight. Every secret you reveal is ammunition for those who hunger for power. Consider the courts of Florence, where ambition was a silent predator. Princes and advisors alike schemed, not merely with swords, but with whispers, letters, and subtle revelations. Misplaced confession, a hint of understanding, and a rival could exploit your insight as if it were their own. Knowledge, when spoken, leaves you vulnerable. Do you see? It is not the possession of knowledge that ensures dominance. It is the discretion with which it is guarded. Think of Cesare Borgia, a man whose rise was as much about cunning as it was about lineage. He understood that to reveal strategy prematurely was to invite opposition. Advisors who flaunted their wisdom often fell to schemes they believed they could see coming. Those who kept their lips sealed, however, controlled not only the outcome, but the perception of their power. You may hold the key to influence, but unless you learn the art of concealment, it will be taken from you. Ask yourself this when you acquire information: who benefits? Yourself, or those who observe your excitement, your desire to share, your need to be admired for your insight? Human nature is predictable. Pride compels many to reveal what should remain hidden, and envy waits patiently for the misstep. Do you wish to arm your enemies with the very knowledge you hold? Or do you prefer to wield it silently, allowing it to shape events without exposure? History offers lessons, and they are cruel in their clarity. Consider the Medici family, whose survival depended on secrets and selective disclosures. Each member who spoke too freely, believing trust to be universal, found themselves undermined, exiled, or worse. Yet the one who mastered discretion, who allowed others to chase illusions while quietly advancing their agenda, held true power. Power is not merely force, it is perception. And perception is sculpted by what you reveal and what you conceal. Knowledge, when wielded correctly, is a weapon more precise than any blade. It strikes not the body but the mind. It disorients, manipulates, and directs without a single act of overt aggression. Imagine a general who knows the enemy's formation, but pretends ignorance. His adversaries move blindly, thinking themselves clever, while he orchestrates every outcome. The information is his sword, but only if unsheathed at the exact moment. If shown too soon, it is neutralized, their defenses reinforced. You must also recognize the psychological weight of knowledge. Humans fear what they do not understand, and they overestimate what they perceive. By controlling the flow of information, you guide fear, hope, and expectation. You shape belief itself. A merchant who knows the market will profit silently, while the one who boasts of insight invites sabotage. A ruler who understands his court's desires but reveals nothing commands loyalty, or at least compliance. But here is the most dangerous trap: the illusion of control. Many believe that because they possess knowledge, they are untouchable. Yet the world does not bend to wisdom alone. It bends to those who control its revelation. Are you content to hold truth as a trophy, admired by fools, or will you refine it into a weapon silent but lethal? Every secret you acquire is an opportunity. Every piece of hidden truth is leverage waiting for its precise moment. And leverage, once lost, can never be regained. Imagine the satisfaction of guiding events, not through confrontation, but through subtle suggestion, timing, and observation. That is the mastery of knowledge. The power is immense. The risk is equal. And the difference between the two is the discipline of silence. Do you see now why knowledge is more dangerous than ignorance? Why it must be treated not as a gift to display, but as an instrument of strategy. Guard it. Study it. Let it shape your moves before it shapes your enemy's defenses. Only then will you understand its true potential and the devastation that awaits those who underestimate the silent force they carry. And yet, there is a deeper layer. Even the most disciplined cannot rely solely on their own understanding. In the next segment, we will explore the subtle art of knowing who to trust, and when the mere hint of information can become a chain or a crown. You think words are harmless, that a confession, an observation, or a clever remark carries little consequence. But every time you open your mouth, you release a force that can either construct or dismantle your power. Ask yourself, how often has a single phrase altered the course of a life, a career, a kingdom? The tongue is not merely flesh and sound, it is a battlefield, and most who wield it are unarmed. Consider the courts of Renaissance Italy, where intrigue was as constant as the shifting seasons. Advisors, generals, and princes alike fell not to swords or betrayal alone, but to their own tongues. One careless boast, one too candid reflection, and a rival could exploit it like a miner discovers a hidden vein of gold. Speech, in its seductive immediacy, promises connection, but in truth, it often delivers ruin. Can you resist the lure of immediate expression when the consequences are unseen but fatal? Even the greatest leaders have succumbed. Take Francesco Sforza, a man of cunning, yet surrounded by flatterers and spies. He understood that silence shields, but he also knew the intoxicating effect of eloquence. Those who admired him were beguiled by his words. Those who envied him listened closely, storing each syllable as ammunition. It is a delicate dance. You speak, and you reveal, remain silent, and you control. Which do you choose, when both paths carry peril? Humans are drawn to the sound of knowledge, the thrill of insight. Pride compels you to demonstrate your intellect, to show others the mastery you hold. You believe in the power of transparency, the virtue of honesty, the charm of cleverness. Yet these are illusions, comforting lies that expose your vulnerabilities. Every revelation, no matter how small, signals to the world where you are strongest, and where you may be exploited. Would you willingly hand a sword to your enemy? Every word you utter can become that sword in their hands. Observe history, even emperors faltered through indiscretion. Consider Julius Caesar, whose enemies listened to him with feigned admiration, cataloging his every sentiment, his every private reflection. One misjudged remark, one trust extended too freely, and the dagger of betrayal found its mark. Speech seduces because it flatters your ego, but it is rarely innocent. The more alluring the words, the deadlier the trap. Do you see why restraint is not weakness but mastery? Now, reflect on human psychology. People crave connection, validation, recognition. Your desire to impress, to convince, to persuade is natural. But in your eagerness to be heard, you surrender influence. Silence, conversely, is active, not passive. It compels curiosity, fuels speculation, and positions you as the keeper of power rather than its servant. Those who speak excessively are consumed by their own noise. Those who speak sparingly shape the perception of reality itself. Let us consider a practical illustration, a merchant negotiating a deal. One brags of past victories, of wealth, of strategy. The other listens, questions little, reveals nothing. Which one will the other party fear, respect, or underestimate? The silent one, of course, becomes unpredictable, difficult to read, a presence that dominates without a single boast. Words are seductive because they offer the illusion of control, but often they transfer control to others. Can you afford such luxury? But beware, this is no mere tactic for the timid. It is a constant, psychological trial. To restrain speech when every fiber of your being seeks expression requires discipline and foresight. It demands that you weigh each utterance, anticipate its repercussions, and consider the unseen audience of envious, cunning minds. Every conversation is a battlefield, every compliment, a potential ambush. The reward for mastery is immense influence without exposure, authority without opposition, dominance without struggle. And yet, there lies an even greater peril, the allure of perceived transparency. People admire those who speak openly, who seem candid, who appear sincere. You may be tempted to indulge, to join the chorus of voices, to be admired and understood. Resist it. True power is often misunderstood precisely because it reveals little. Words, like wine, intoxicate quickly, and those who indulge excessively wake to regret. So I ask you, will you let your mouth betray the strategy your mind has crafted? Will you succumb to the seductive ease of speech, or will you cultivate the dangerous virtue of restraint? Your next challenge is even subtler. In the following segment, we will examine how to read the room with precision, to discern who deserves a fragment of your truth, and who waits to turn it against you. Power is rarely displayed in broad daylight. It is cultivated in shadows, nurtured quietly, and revealed only at the precise moment when its effect is maximal. Do you understand the subtlety of control? To conceal is not merely to hide. It is to manipulate perception, to guide thought, to bend circumstances without overt force. Those who parade their strength are often crushed by those who master the art of invisibility. Consider the cunning of Lorenzo de' Medici, who ruled Florence not through brute authority, but through invisible influence. He allowed rivals to believe themselves in command, all the while maneuvering threads they could not see. Alliances formed and dissolved at his discretion. Actions were credited to others. Power remained his alone. Can you imagine the satisfaction of victory achieved without confrontation? That is the mastery of concealment, control without exposure. Silence alone is insufficient. You must conceal not only your knowledge, but your intentions, your desires, even your fears. Humans are experts at reading signals, facial expressions, tone, small gestures. A flicker of pride, a hint of impatience, a momentary glance, and your secret becomes perceptible. Do you think your enemies fail to notice? Every action speaks, and those who master concealment speak least, yet their influence resounds most profoundly. History is replete with those who underestimated this principle. Take Machiavelli's contemporary, Pope Alexander VI. His power was not the product of holiness, but of calculated secrecy. He cultivated alliances and rivalries alike, never revealing his hand. Those who opposed him did so openly, unaware of the invisible traps set in advance. He understood that the world reacts not merely to action, but to perception. By hiding his true agenda, he controlled the narrative entirely. Even in personal affairs, concealment dictates dominance. Think of a general plotting a siege. He could announce his strategy proudly, expecting fear to deter the enemy. But the wise general, cloaked in silence, allows the enemy to guess, misinterpret, overcommit, and make errors. The victory is complete, not because of might alone, but because those around him acted upon assumptions he carefully curated. Can you see the elegance of power exercised quietly? Psychology reinforces this principle. Humans are drawn to the visible, the audible, the obvious. They equate action with intent, speech with sincerity. Yet the mind's true power lies beneath these surface signals, in the thoughts and strategies that others cannot perceive. By concealing your motives, you create a landscape of uncertainty. Rivals hesitate. Allies speculate. Everyone becomes predictable in their attempts to anticipate you, while you remain the only constant in the storm. Do not mistake concealment for cowardice. It is courage of the highest order, the courage to let others stumble while you wait, the patience to defer gratification until your hand can strike most effectively. Every piece of information you withhold is leverage. Every unseen move is a tool to sculpt reality to your will. Those who reveal themselves too quickly provide the world with opportunities. Those who conceal, however, command the very opportunities themselves. Let me illustrate with a lesson from commerce. A merchant knows the supply, the demand, the hidden flaws of his competitors. He reveals nothing. Customers and rivals alike assume parity. He chooses when and how to deploy his knowledge, creating scarcity, shaping desire, and directing outcomes without resistance. Control has been exercised, yet it remains invisible. Power is not in recognition, it is in execution, and yet concealment carries a subtle danger, the temptation of overconfidence. Many, intoxicated by their ability to hide, forget the necessity of timing, precision, and observation. Control without awareness is merely a shadow without substance. You must observe constantly, measure carefully, and anticipate every reaction. Every act of concealment must be deliberate, every silence strategic. Otherwise, the unseen becomes irrelevant and your advantage evaporates. Ask yourself, do you wish to be admired for action or feared for mastery? Do you wish to participate in the noise or to guide it silently? The greatest influence is often unseen. Those who control through concealment dictate the fates of men without uttering a single word, without leaving a mark that can be traced. And once you have grasped this, you will understand why the next principle, the subtle reading of intent and trust, is not optional, but essential. In the following segment, we will explore how to discern who deserves fragments of your truth, and how a single misstep in trust can dismantle the delicate architecture of control you have so carefully constructed. Power is never exercised in isolation. It exists only in relation to others, those who observe, those who covet, those who aspire, and those who fear. To act blindly is to invite disaster. You must learn to read the room, to discern the currents of loyalty, envy, and ambition that flow beneath every conversation, every gesture, every glance. Can you perceive the invisible forces that shape outcomes around you, or do you stumble oblivious into the snares of others? Consider Caesar Borgia, whose court was as dangerous as a battlefield. He did not rely solely on force, he relied on observation. He noticed the flicker of hesitation in a counselor's eyes, the subtle shift in posture of a rival, the unguarded expression of envy. Each detail revealed motives and allegiances that words alone could not convey. How often do you pay attention to such subtleties when the majority of men are deaf to whispers and blind to shadowed gestures? Observation is a weapon, sharper than a dagger. And like any weapon, it must be wielded with discipline. You must watch not only what is said, but what is unsaid. People are often more truthful in their omissions than in their declarations. A hesitation, a glance away, a sudden silence. These are the cracks in the facade. They tell you what others would prefer you not to know. Do you notice them, or do you accept the world at the surface level as fools do? History teaches that misreading intent can be fatal. Take King Henry VI, who trusted advisors without scrutiny, relying on flattery rather than perception. He rewarded the visible, ignored the subtle, and paid the price with the betrayal and execution of those he believed loyal. Contrast him with a ruler who observes quietly, who trusts selectively, who interprets every glance and tone as part of a broader map of ambition. Who, in your estimation, wields real power? The one deceived, or the one who anticipates deception before it strikes? Psychology reinforces the art of discernment. Humans are predictable in their biases and desires. Flattery tempts, fear manipulates, and envy conceals itself beneath smiles. To read the room, you must understand these undercurrents. The motives that drive behavior, the hidden needs that guide decisions, the subtle power plays that unfold in every interaction. Every conversation is a microcosm of strategy, every social gathering a battlefield of influence. Are you prepared to see what others cannot, or will you be swept along with the current, blind to manipulation? Let us examine a practical example. Imagine a council meeting filled with ambitious men. One speaks passionately, demanding action. Another nods silently, concealing intent. A third smiles, offering praise while plotting opposition. Only by observing each carefully, by noting inconsistencies, micro-expressions, and pauses, can you discern who aligns with your interests and who harbors threats. To act without such understanding is to gamble with your position, your influence, and even your life. But do not mistake observation for paranoia. It is not suspicion without purpose, but focus with intent. You watch not to find fault in all, but to identify leverage, to anticipate moves, to safeguard yourself from betrayal. Those who act without observation mistake strength for wisdom. Those who act with it wield influence invisible yet undeniable. Power, after all, is not merely in action. It is in understanding the landscape before you move. And there is an even more subtle layer, the projection of perception. Just as you read others, they read you. The same principles apply: concealment, timing, subtlety. By observing the room, you also learn how to manipulate perception, how to appear trustworthy to one, intimidating to another, inconsequential to a third. Influence is most potent when the audience believes they are acting freely, unaware that every choice has been anticipated. Can you see how the mastery of perception and observation intertwine? Now, consider your next challenge. Even the keenest observer must decide whom to trust and when. Misplaced confidence can undo months of careful strategy. Revealing a fragment of truth to the wrong person can unleash chaos. And yet, withholding it from the right ally can cost opportunity. The balance is delicate, and the stakes are immense. In the next segment, we will explore this perilous calculus: how to discern who deserves a fragment of your truth, who must be kept at arm's length, and how a single misjudgment in trust can unravel the subtle architecture of control you have so painstakingly constructed. Timing is the invisible hand that decides victories and defeats. Knowledge, strategy, and influence are impotent if deployed too soon or too late. Ask yourself, have you ever acted with brilliance, only to find the moment had passed, leaving your effort wasted and your position weakened? The difference between triumph and disaster is often not skill, but the precise moment of execution. Consider Hannibal, the Carthaginian general, who struck Rome with audacity. His genius was not only in his strategy, but in the timing of each move. He knew when to strike, when to wait, when to retreat, and when to provoke. Every delay was calculated, every advance deliberate. One misstep, one premature engagement, and his campaign could have collapsed. Do you grasp the subtle power of timing, the quiet force that turns knowledge into dominance? Even in courts and councils, timing dictates influence. Observe King Louis XVI of France, a ruler who mastered patience as a weapon. He did not confront rivals openly. He observed, delayed, and manipulated circumstances until his intervention would be decisive. By waiting, he allowed opponents to exhaust themselves, to expose weaknesses, to make errors that he could exploit with near certainty. Timing, in this way, transforms strategy into inevitability. Can you imagine the advantage of acting only when victory is assured? The psychology of timing is equally revealing. Humans are impatient, swayed by immediate emotion, prone to overreact. They speak, move, and decide hastily. And yet you, if disciplined, can wait. You can watch, measure, and choose the moment when your words, actions, or revelations carry maximum effect. Every premature disclosure diminishes power. Every delayed maneuver enhances it. Do you see how patience, so often mistaken for weakness, is actually the instrument of supremacy? Let us examine a historical illustration. During the Wars of the Roses, the rise of Richard III was facilitated by careful observation of timing. He allowed rivals to act first, creating situations of vulnerability that he could exploit. By the moment he revealed his intentions, the outcomes were all but predetermined. His enemies, rushing forward with false confidence, were undone by the very timing of his response. Timing made him formidable, silent, and feared while appearing almost passive. Can you distinguish action from calculated patience? Even small-scale manipulation depends on timing. A whisper delivered too early is ignored. Delivered too late, it may provoke resistance. A confession, a compliment, a warning, or a threat. Each carries a window of maximal potency. Miss it, and you empower others to act on their terms. Seize it, and you bend reality to your design. Timing is not luck, it is observation, calculation, and restraint distilled into a single, decisive moment. The modern mind resists this principle because it seeks immediate gratification. It values speed over precision, expression over discretion, action over patience. And yet, those who understand timing wield influence silently and absolutely. In negotiation, they allow others to speak first. In confrontation, they wait for error. In persuasion, they delay revelation until desire is ripe. Every move is measured. Every silence intentional. Can you adopt such discipline in a world addicted to instant reaction? History again offers grim lessons. Consider the downfall of Anne Boleyn, who misjudged the timing of her political maneuvers. One misaligned revelation, one moment too soon, and her enemies, patient, observant, calculating, struck with lethal precision. Timing, or the lack of it, determined life and death. Power, as you can see, is not merely what you know, but when you choose to reveal it. So ask yourself, are you impatient? Do you act when temptation strikes, when desire demands, when others expect it, or do you wait, observe, calculate, and strike when the hour guarantees advantage? Master the calculus of timing, and you transform knowledge into inevitability, influence into dominance, restraint into triumph. And yet, timing alone is not sufficient. The next challenge, more subtle than patience, is to determine who deserves to see your carefully withheld truth, and when. A single misjudgment in trust can undo months of meticulous preparation. In the following segment, we will uncover the art of selective revelation, the perilous science of knowing to whom and when to disclose fragments of your power. True power is rarely visible. The world applauds those who act, who display, who strike boldly. And yet, the most formidable influence is exercised in silence, in shadow, in ways that leave observers unaware of who truly controls the outcome. Ask yourself, do you wish to be admired, or do you wish to command? The difference lies in subtlety, in invisibility, in the cultivation of an authority that no one can challenge because few recognize its presence. Consider Cardinal Richelieu, the master of France's secretive influence. He never relied solely on armies or overt displays of authority. Instead, he shaped decisions, molded perception, and orchestrated outcomes from behind the curtain. Kings and princes acted, believing themselves free, while he guided their choices with imperceptible force. Do you see the elegance? True control is not in visibility, but in the undetected steering of events, where the world bends to your design without ever realizing it. Humans are easily deceived by spectacle. They equate visibility with dominance, volume with authority, and yet those who make the least noise often wield the most decisive power. The silent observer, the patient manipulator, the strategist who reveals only what furthers their design. These are the ones who endure, who rise, who shape history while others squabble over fleeting attention. Can you imagine the advantage of being feared and obeyed without declaring your intent? The invisible throne is built upon layers of observation, timing, and selective revelation. Each secret preserved, each insight withheld, each action delayed contributes to a web of influence no one can fully discern. Consider the Venetian Republic, whose leaders maintained dominance not through force alone, but through opaque councils, invisible networks, and the perception that decisions were collective, when in truth, they were meticulously guided. Power, subtle and patient, grows unseen until it cannot be ignored. Psychology reinforces this principle. Humans seek tangible markers of control: titles, wealth, applause. They fail to recognize the subtle levers of influence that dictate their choices. You, however, can act as the silent architect, guiding decisions without confrontation, nudging outcomes without exposure, shaping reality while remaining ostensibly inconsequential. Do you perceive the freedom that invisibility affords? The ability to maneuver while others are constrained by their own ego and expectation. Let us consider a practical illustration. A CEO observes their board, understands the ambitions of each member, notes the alliances forming beneath polite conversation. No announcement is made. No threat, no boast, no display. Yet, decisions align perfectly with the CEO's vision. The visible action is credited to others. The power, entirely unseen, belongs to the one who understood the dynamics first. Influence, in this way, is wielded silently, but with absolute precision. Even in matters of personal manipulation, the principle holds. Imagine a courtier navigating a treacherous palace. By speaking little, by listening more, by revealing only what furthers strategic advantage, he ensures survival and advancement. Those who rush to display loyalty, intelligence, or courage are outmaneuvered by the one who appears neutral yet is everywhere influential. Control, when exercised invisibly, cannot be challenged, because it leaves no obvious target. But the invisible throne carries subtle risks. The unseen architect must constantly observe, adjust, and anticipate. Complacency is fatal. If you act without awareness of shifting dynamics, your control can vanish as quickly as it appeared. Influence must be cultivated continuously, silently, and strategically. Each relationship, each action, each omission contributes to a lattice of authority that must be maintained, or it collapses under the weight of ambition and error. Ask yourself, do you seek the admiration of the crowd, or the unquestioned obedience of circumstance? Do you desire fleeting attention, or enduring dominance? The choice is yours, but the path is treacherous. Those who understand the invisible throne act with patience, subtlety, and ruthless calculation. They endure, they shape, they remain when others are forgotten. And yet, the ultimate test remains. Even mastery of concealment and silent influence is incomplete without the understanding of perception itself. How to guide what others believe they see while ensuring your true authority remains unassailable. In the next segment, we will reveal the final layer of mastery, the art of controlling perception, the final instrument of unseen power that crowns the strategist above all rivals. Power is not what others see. It is what they cannot see. Influence is not claimed, it is quietly taken. Every word you speak, every secret you guard, every glance you measure, these shape reality more than armies, laws, or wealth. Do you command or merely react? Do you move unseen or announce yourself to be conquered? The world rewards the silent strategist, the patient observer, the master of invisible authority. Knowledge is a weapon. Timing is a sword. Concealment is armor. Those who act without patience, who speak without calculation, who trust without scrutiny, are swept aside. You, however, can bend the currents of circumstance to your will. Now, the question is simple: will you act as others dictate, or will you control without their knowing? Share your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe for more strategies hidden from the ordinary mind. And share this video so others may glimpse the shadows where true power resides. The throne is invisible, but those who claim it silently rule unchallenged.